Welcome, everyone. In this presentation, we are going to talk about communication, answering questions such as what is communication? How can we communicate? How does context influence communication? So, communication is defined as the process of understanding and sharing meaning, involving an interaction between participants. The first keyword in this definition is process. Process is a dynamic activity that is hard to describe because it changes. Imagine you're alone in your kitchen thinking. Someone you know enters the kitchen and you talk briefly. Now, imagine that this person is joined by someone else, someone you haven't met before. And this stranger listens intently as you speak, almost as if you were giving a speech. What has changed? Well, your perspective might change, and you might watch your words more closely. The feedback or response from the person you know and the stranger, who are in a sense your audience, may cause you to reevaluate what you're saying. The second keyword is understanding. To understand is to perceive, to interpret, and to relate our perception and interpretation to what we are already know. If a friend tells you a story about falling off a bicycle, what image comes to your mind? Probably him falling down off a bike. Now, your friend points out the window and you see a motorcycle lying on the ground. It can be called bike too. Understanding the words and the concepts or objects they refer to is an important part of communication process. Other important concept on communication is sharing. Sharing means doing something together with one or more people. In communication, sharing occurs when you convey thoughts, feelings, ideas, or insights to others. You can also share with yourself, a process called interpersonal communication. When you bring ideas to consciousness, ponder how you feel about something, or figure out the solution to a problem, and have a classic aha moment when something becomes clear in your mind. Finally, meaning is what we share through communication. The word bike represents both a bicycle and a short name for motorcycle. By looking at the context the word is used in and by asking questions, we can discover the shared meaning of the word and understand the message. What is the connection between communication and anxiety? Building good relationships with other people can greatly reduce stress and anxiety in our lives. In fact, improving social support is linked to better mental health in general, since having good friends can act as a buffer for feelings of anxiety and low mood. Communication skills are the key to develop and keep friendships and to build a strong social support network. That's why they are so important. They also help us take care of our own needs while being respectful of the needs of others. People aren't born with good communication skills. Like any other skill, they are learned through trial and error and repeated practice. However, for some people, their anxiety can contribute to their avoidance of social situations and prevent them from building relationships. There are many areas we can address when talking about communication. This presentation is going to discuss three of them. A large part of what we communicate to each other is nonverbal. What we say to people with our eyes or our body language is just as powerful as what we say with words. When we feel anxious, we might behave in ways that are designed to avoid communication with others. For example, we may avoid eye contact or speak very softly. In other words, we are trying not to communicate, likely to avoid being judged negatively by others. However, our body language and tone of voice does communicate powerful messages to others about our emotional states, for example, impatience, fear, attitude towards the listener, like submissiveness, contempt, knowledge of the topic, honesty. One of the biggest challenges for someone with social anxiety is starting conversations and keeping them going. It is normal to struggle a bit when you are trying to make small talk because it is not always easy to think of things to say. This is especially true when feeling anxious. On the other hand, some anxious people talk too much, which can have a negative impression on others. The third topic is assertiveness, a communication style. Communication styles are further discussed in other presentations. Thank you for your attention.